Greetings everyone, this is Connor from DagoraTV. In this video was just an idea of mine, to kind of create a little bit of discussion in the comment section or something like that below, or in the Reddit post that I put on the Elder Scrolls subreddit or something like that, about what our favourite races are in the Elder Scrolls series, and what we like to play, what we like for different reasons, all that kind of thing. So I just wanted to, talk about all the races, all 10 races that are in the game, have a little bit of a discussion because there's not really a huge amount of news going out recently about the Elder Scrolls series, so I thought, it'd be nice to have a little bit of a discussion about them. So, I think as most of you know, if you've watched the videos for a while, a lot of my older subscribers will know that Wood Elf Bosmer is my favourite race. The reason being, yes, you're right. The Legolas fantasy is something that we all want to live out, and the Wood Elf is the best race to do that with. Reason being, they're the best archers. I think the lore really does demonstrate that well. In Valenwood, they're very tribe-like people, are very much on using the bow and arrow as the primary weapon. A lot of interesting lore as well, especially concerning the Green Pact, where they eat the people that they kill on the home planet of Valenwood, on the home country, sorry, of Valenwood. Which is an agreement that they made with the forest, and I said in my Elder Scrolls video, in Valenwood would be a good area to play around, and a good situation and a good idea to kind of toy with in an Elder Scrolls game, which is all that good. But other than that, I am a fan of the Orcs. I do think the Orcs have got the most interesting lore of the other races, apart from the Wood Elf, obviously, in my eyes, because I think the fact that a civilization like Orsinium can be knocked down so many fucking times yet come back up out of the rubble is kind of is interesting. It's hearing a lot about individual orc figures is something that I do like to read up on, and hearing orcs talk about their past and things like that, and how good Orsinium is and everything is something that's really cool, and is one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to playing the Orsinium expansion in the Elder Scrolls Online, because it just seems like a really, really crazy kind of ordeal that's going on over there. And the orc numbers kind of seem to be really unpopular in the Elder Scrolls universe. There not really seem to be many people that actually like the orcs that much. Maybe it's because they're a bit hung up because the Lord of the Rings are kind of the bad guys. Whereas in the Elder Scrolls series, they're kind of like, not exactly a humble race, but they're spearheads, they fight what they believe in, they're kind of aggressive, and I think, they're pretty interesting, like, as Wood Elves, the Wood Elves, are really, in my opinion, the best fighters in the Elder Scrolls series, because I think tactically, the second to none. Maybe the only ones that can compete with them tactically are the Imperial race, but the way that they have such a strategic advantage in their own forest, like the Almeri Dominion, if they went actually to invade Valenwood, which happened in the Second Era, they actually failed to conquer Valenwood. They were drove back out of there for the High Isles and Somerset Isles, which is, I think, is actually shows that they could stand on their own. And it's this small guy fighting against the big people. I always think that's kind of really cool to look at as well. I just have this affection for the Wood Elves. After looking deeper into the lore, I think it's really cool. The High Elves are probably my least favourite race of all of them, to be honest with you. Not a fan of the High Elf, reason being they are the standard bad guy of the series, and I know that the Wood Elves and High Elves do tend to work together kind of a lot, but they've just got that evil manure about them, and I think of all the kind of races, the High Elf is kind of the most white bread out of them all. I think White Elf and High Elf and Nord are the most like white bread, the way that we kind of know what to expect from them. Nord we expect to be Viking-like, warmongering people, and High Elves we expect to be, evil mages kind of thing, and that's kind of what we get a lot of the time in the Elder Scrolls series. So I've kind of tried to stay away from a High Elf as much as I possibly could. The reason being is because I'm not a huge fan of magic, and I don't really like being a race that's kind of really kind of white in that kind of area. They're not really. The character's kind of painted for you in that aspect when you play one of those races. I know you can be whoever you want to be, you can kind of go away from the mold and you make the character your own and everything like that, but I just feel that it's not really a race that I'm kind of yearning to be, if that makes any sense. Whereas something like, a Khajiit or an Argonian, two of the beast races, I kind of am. Talking of the Khajiit, I love the Khajiit, love the sneaky nature of them. I love what the Elder Scrolls Online did with them and the ZeniMax did with them, with the whole idea of the guerrilla warfare type Khajiit, the tanky type Khajiit, the big armor wielding battle axe, Khajiit. I was a big fan of that. I love the way they look. Again, interesting lore, very religious people, or travelers as well in the Khajiit, which is why you see a lot of them are caravans in Skyrim. And I think that The Khajiit as well, you know, kind of a popular race. You know, a lot of people do like to play that sneaky play style, and I think the Khajiit is a really good race to kind of get with that, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, they're cat people, they're quiet, they've got tails, and people do like playing the Khajiit. I do enjoy playing the Khajiit. I think they've got really cool abilities as well in Oblivion and Skyrim with the Night Eye that they have. I think that we'll put kind of like a hue and you can see in the dark. I think that's a kind of a cool ability. Kind of a little bit useless in Skyrim because the dungeons were never that dark, whereas in Oblivion they were. So Night Eye was actually an advantage that you'd have over some of the other races, which I think was a cool idea. And you know, something that's I think is really interesting in, you know, a lot of RPGs is that the races have their own racial abilities. I think it's something that they could do a bit better with in the Elder Scrolls series, because, you know, each race does have their own, you know, ability. You know, like you have the His skin with the Argonians, where you do regenerate quicker. You do have High Mage with Highborn, sorry, with the High Elves, where you able to regenerate Magicka quicker and things like that. They're all pretty along them lines, and I think that, you know, they could improve these. You know, maybe do a couple more, maybe differentiate them a little bit, because I think that it's cool that they're similar and you can play any playstyle with them. That's something that we always want to stay, but I just think that the little abilities that they've got to kind of give them a little bit more of a difference than the other races, I think is also kind of cool, and something that I think would be interesting for them to do in the future, especially the later Elder Scrolls games, you know, like the ones coming out now in 6. I think that's something that we can look for, because a lot of CRPGs like that are coming out recently, like Divinity and things like that, do have them kind of styles, and I think that's kind of really interesting to see. So I'm hoping that they'll maybe put the step in the right direction and kind of do that. We'll have to see if they will, because at the end of the day, you know, there's a lot to kind of make and kind of balance along with that. Even though it is a single player game, you know, you've got to do a lot of QA for that kind of thing. But other than the Khajiit, High Elf and Orc races, I also find interesting that I kind of like to play as well. Big fan of the Argonians. Argonians are probably, you know, I prefer them more than the Khajiit, and probably less than the Orcs at this point, because, again, you know, interesting backstory. I like the beast races. I think they're the most unique of all the races, especially on appearance. And I think that also that the idea that, you know, they've got this whole kind of underdog status about them. I like the underdog idea. You know, the whole revenge against the Dark Elves thing that's happening now is making me happy, and something that I really want to play through, because I really want to witness that. You know, the races that I don't tend to like are, you know, the Dark Elves, the evil like ones, the Dark Elves, the High Elves. I'm not a fan of those. I find Red Guards quite boring, to be honest with you. I think that the Nords are kind of white bread. I don't like to play a Nord. Imperial, I like the story again. You know, underdog with them being, you know, slaves of, you know, the whole Manamako in them, you know, Elder Scrolls Online, but before that, the old dynasty that was held in Cyrodiil, there were slaves to those people, and being able to revolt against that and conquer, and then be able to rule all of Tamriel with Tyber Septim is something that I think is great to read about. I think the Imperials are great to read about. I think they're kind of like the pivotal head of the races in Tamriel at this moment in time, as we're playing through this timeline as well after Elder Scrolls Skyrim. And I think that people do like the Imperial race because, you know, they are human-like, but they're not as boring as the Nords. They are, you know, really organised when it comes to general. They're very much inspired by the Roman Empire, which we could see by their armour in the Elder Scrolls Skyrim as well. I think as well, you know, Oblivion is a lot of good memories from Oblivion as well, in there, in the fact that people love Cyrodiil, people love the Waggle Tower and all that kind of aspect of it, and really like to, you know, get those memories back. And the best way to get those memories back is by playing the race that was from that game. And I think that, you know, people do enjoy doing that. Another race, you know, that I haven't really mentioned is Bretons. I don't really have any real opinions on the Bretons. I had one playthrough of the Breton. I like the blend, you know, if you want that real all-rounder, you know, of a character that can fight and a character that is also can be capable as a mage, the Breton is the way to go. Again, interesting lore with them. You know, a lot of these races do have interesting lore to them. I think the only ones that don't, in my opinion, is the Nords and the Red Guards. I think the Red Guards, the whole thing with Yakuda being sunk and then sailing across to Tamriel, all well and good and cool. You know, it would be cool to, you know, see that again. I can maybe get a little bit more of a background into them, because we haven't really seen a huge amount of the Red Guards if you think about it. But I just don't really feel that they've got that, you know, interest in areas to them. It's the same with with the North story of Skyrim. They've got a similar story, you know, being in the north in this frozen wasteland and coming down, you know, coming south and coming on to Tamriel, and really trying to own Skyrim as their own and trying to fight back for what they believe in. And I think there will be something, you know, that they can improve in the next Elder Scrolls game with the Nords, and especially the Red Guards, but it is something that we, you know, we're just going to have to wait and see on, and generally get a judgment of whether they've done it the way that they've done it before. So let me know as well what your favourite races are in the Elder Scrolls series. Let me know if you do, you know, like the idea of, you know, of the Wood Elves and, you know, defending Vale and winning that idea. If you like the underdog side of the Argonians, what's your favourite races? I really want to find out. Also, do you want other races like the Permatang or the Slowed or something like that coming into Skyrim or coming into the Elder Scrolls series, sorry, and really being able to play something completely different? Or is there other races that you enjoy reading about and not playable, you know, that you find really interesting, or that could be your favourite race? That'd be kind of interesting if some people have that idea. I personally don't. I think the 10 races that we've got, I prefer those 10 compared to any of the other races that we have in this series. So please let me know what you think about, you know, the races in Skyrim. Do you think they could be improved? Do you think they're better in any of the other games in the Elder Scrolls series? Do you think they're better in Oblivion or Elder Scrolls Online? Just let me know what you think. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube channel to keep track of any content that I put out any day. Make sure you put notifications on so you know as soon as it goes out, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.